Seeing how 6:30 has come, I would like to open up this public meeting of the Woburn Conservation Commission. It is March 13th, 2025. And first on the agenda is a presentation from an Eagle Scout for a Eagle project at the Middlesex Canal for a bench and a kiosk. So if there's someone here to speak on the matter, if you would print in and state your name for our recorder.
Hello, I'm Molly Murphy, and I'm a Life Scout from Troop 502 in Woburn, Massachusetts. I will be working on my Eagle project at the Middlesex Canal, and this will consist of a kiosk and a bench. The kiosk will be located near the School Street entrance, and it will contain historical information initially, and then it will be handed over to the city of Woburn to put whatever they want in it. The bench will be located a little farther down on the railroad bed, and it will be a two-person memorial bench. And we do not plan on disturbing any of the natural landscape. We have sent out letters to all 5 homes along the Middlesex Canal, so they're informed about the project and they have a summary of what it will be.
Excellent.
All right, at the last meeting, as we all know, we, by request from Molly, we waived the RDA with the exception of, she will give notice to the people on the map that's on her proposal, the last page, at number 26, 27, 28, 31, and 33. And I'll open it up for discussion to the commission.
So I just have a quick question. First of all, great project, right, for the Eagle Scout kiosk and bench, always good, and a lot of good use to it. I'm just more out of curiosity. You mentioned memorial bench. Is there a certain name or a certain person it's being dedicated to, yes?
Yeah, we are thinking about dedicating it to a scout parent, John Caviello.
Good. Thank you.
John Caviello was a previous conservation member as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Awesome.
Anybody else?
Yeah, at first I'm very happy to see that a bench will go in there. I know that's been getting a lot more use over that trail. It's been cleaned up very well, and so we'll get some use for sure. And the kiosk is always good for various information that we use some down the pond, and so I think those are 2 good uses that Commissioner mentioned, so that's good. And from what we saw and we had discussed at a previous meeting, to get you a waiver, was that it's really going to be some hand digging, so not much disruption at all.
Yeah.
And that's and then the dirt that you dig up will be kind of put back in around the post and all that, so.
Yeah, we don't plan on disturbing it that much. Like, we'll just be doing hand digging and just putting the dirt back as best we can.
Very good.
Good.
I'm good.
Anybody else?
When do you plan on starting this project?
I plan on starting it at the beginning of April.
Thank you, good luck.
Thank you.
Jim?
So, Molly, thanks for presenting the project. I think it's really an excellent project. I know that I was involved in it at the beginning, and we took a walk out on the canal towpath, found some potential spots that would be good for the kiosk, good for the bench, did some measurements. It was pretty good to be able to work with Scout Troop 502 on that. I appreciate that opportunity to do that. A couple of things that I wanted to ask, and I won't put you on the spot, but, or maybe I will, but have you thought about, so one, have you thought about what type of material will go into the kiosk? What kind of information would you like to see in the kiosk? Have you thought about that?
I've just thought about, at the beginning, I will be putting in information about the history of the canal, because I don't think a lot of people know about that, and I think it would be, people who walk on the canal would like to see the history of it. I don't have any idea what the city of Woburn would like to put in it, but I don't think I have a say after that.
Well, I'll tell you, I really like the idea about the history of the canal, because I think that, you know, there's a lot of folks that know what the history of the canal is, but there's a lot of folks that don't. And people that walk down there may not know anything about that canal, they just know it's a path and it's there, but they have no idea what the history of it is. And so to put something like that in there, I think would be really excellent, to have that. I know some information that I'd like to see go into the kiosk, and maybe we can talk about that, the scout troop, we can talk about that. I'd like to see some information maybe on some of the wildlife that's down there, because I actually get down and I photograph and I follow red-tailed hawks and barred owls that go in there. So, you know, that would be interesting to have too. But the other thing I wanted to ask you was, have you thought about from a maintenance perspective? So how do you view the maintenance of this going forward? I know you're going to install it, it's going to go in, but then how does that get handed off to, does it get handed off to the city? Is it something that Scout Troop 502 is going to take up, and, you know, every couple of years they're going to do some maintenance on it? Have you thought about that at all?
Yes, I plan on making the kiosk well equipped for the New England weather, so hopefully it stands up pretty well. After that, the city of Woburn will have control over it. I don't know what would go after
Okay.
that.
Okay. And just the last thing, and this is kind of on a like a personal level for you. Did you learn anything out of this process that you can take forward and bring with you? I mean, you can bring it back to your scout troop, but is there anything that you learned about how this process worked, and what did you like about it, or what you didn't like about it? You know, any of that you can share with us, I think would be important.
Okay. Yeah, I've helped other people on their Eagle Scout projects, and I've just helped with like the building and the installing of their projects, but I never really understood the full steps that it took, and like how much time it took out of people. And I think I've learned about like government and how like the city can how the city like approves projects.
Sure.
And how Eagle Scouts have to go through a lot. And I don't think all Eagle Scouts have gone through as much as I have had, just because of where the land is that I want to work on. But I think it's important to learn that stuff, and I will definitely be using this in life, and I think it's a very important learning process.
Excellent. Well, listen, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I can tell that this is going to be successful, but I can tell that you're going to be successful going forward too. So kudos to you. Thanks very much. I appreciate it. This is a great project.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Hearing none, Molly, I would like to thank you for your presentation. Just to kind of give you an idea as to where Commissioner Joyce is coming from, we have now several scout projects that have been done for the badge, and it's now 5-10 years down the road, and these structures that have been built by the scouts are nowhere to be found as of right now to do the maintenance and the repairs on the structures they built. So it's kind of left up to like one of the, you do it, no, you do it. So we would really like you to consider some type of maintenance plan once the project is done. But again, thank you. It looks like a great project. I know the area well. I think the bench and the informational center, the kiosk, will be great, especially if you keep it loaded with information, as Jim said, with, you know, the wildlife and some history of the canal. I think you've got a good project. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you and good luck.
All right, moving on. Next on the agenda under public hearings is Chelsea Glenwood LLC, locus is 200 Bedford Road, notice of intent, DP number 348-0881. It's a building addition and new parking area. If there's someone here to speak on the matter, and before you do the presentation, we have a written request for a waiver of the 25-foot no disturb. I think that should be taken care of so we can talk freely about the proposal. I've looked at the plans. I don't think that I have an issue with the waiver. Some of the stuff is already there. Any discussion?
Chairman, I'll make that motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So the 25-foot waiver is granted. And again, if you would state your name for our recorder and print in, and you can start.
Sure. William Jones from Linden Engineering, representing the applicant. Richard Cutts from Linden is here with me. We are representing the owners of Glenbrook Estates. They own the apartment complex at the intersection of Bedford Road and Cambridge Road. The site was developed in the late 1970s, early 1980s in 2 phases. The current project essentially has 2 components. One is located at the office building over here. It is a small addition to the existing office. The purpose of it is for package deliveries, secure storage for the residents. That area currently is occupied by a concrete walk, 2 concrete walks actually, and a brick plaza. So it's already impervious area, and we will be changing it from that to a building roof. There is about 20 square feet of additional impervious in front of the building. There's a piece of the grassed area that will be converted to a walkway. The second area is in the area of the tennis court, which is directly off Bedford Road. That will be converted to a community building addition for the use of the residents and a small parking area. The area of that project is impervious with 2 exceptions. We're extending to put a driveway out to Bedford Road to access the parking. That's currently not impervious. And we're putting a walkway in to access the current walkway and patio from the complex, from the apartments. However, overall, there's less impervious. The tennis court is larger than what we're putting back. As part of that, I should go back and say, as part of the first project, we'll be providing infiltration for the roof runoff from the addition, well in excess of DEP requirements. So there's a reduction in the overall volume and rate of runoff from that compared to existing. And we're doing the same with this. And we're providing treatment where there is none now, and providing infiltration beneath the paved area. There will be an outlet pipe to the brook which is essentially an overflow from the infiltration. I should go back, as I'm sure you all know, the site is not bisected, but cut into two pieces by Little Brook. Little Brook flows from the area up by 128 through Burlington, through the Ray Avenue area, down and crosses Bedford Road in a, I believe it's a 3x4 box culvert, into our site, through our site, and exits onto the Boston Edison property, which is to the southeast of us. It's on the east and then south. And that is a perennial stream. So we are in riverfront, we're in buffer zone, we're in almost everything. We are not in bank, we are not in stream. All the work is outside of that. But we've developed it to, consistent with the standards, to result in an improved condition when the project is completed. It is redevelopment under riverfront. The site is previously developed and degraded. What isn't paved in the area of the tennis court is crushed stone. It's not loam and grass. So it's considered degraded by DEP, and we've minimized what we're doing. As I said, there's less impervious, there's less runoff, and we're providing infiltration and treatment. And during construction, we'll have sediment controls and so forth as the project is constructed. So with that, if there's any questions?
Okay, I'll open up the discussion to the commission. Any questions, comments?
Hi, Bill, I have a few, and a couple that just came to me. You said there's no work in the bank. The new outlet pipe, that's not coming out of the bank, or?
The bank ends at the mean annual high water line, and we are above that.
Okay,
We're in the slope,
right,
which is not the bank.
okay.
The bank is below that
You would,
pipe.
how was the mean annual high water mark determined?
It's pretty obvious when you go out there.
Okay, because I'm sure we're going to do a site
It
walk.
was determined by our wetland scientists based on the staining.
Okay, okay. And then as far as calling the crushed stone degraded, I'm not sure that the regulations, it's like junkyards, paved areas.
Absence of loam.
It's absence of topsoil,
Yeah, topsoil. Yeah.
but I don't think that having I would agree with Commissioner Lonis. I don't think that in of itself makes it degraded. Lawn would not be degraded. And I don't think having crushed stone on it is degraded.
Right, but it has got topsoil.
That's my
Not my
opinion.
regulation, but that's what it
Yep.
says.
So if you say that it hasn't got topsoil, that means that mulch, anything besides topsoil would make it degraded?
Yes. Again, not my
Yeah.
regulation.
Yeah, okay. I guess there's more than one way to look at that regulation. So I have a lot of questions. Have we received a color plan for this project?
I actually don't think I submitted that.
Okay, that would be useful, I think,
Yeah.
for the file. How much less impervious surface do we have out there?
I believe it's about 1,100 square feet.
Okay, that's what I saw, yep. Now, you guys are in front of the city council
Yes.
next week. Have you received anything from anybody?
No feedback yet. The site exists by virtue of a special permit, so changes to the site plan require an amendment to the special permit.
Okay,
That's why we're before the council. There's no increased apartments or any of that.
okay. Let's see. So I'm curious about what the need is for the 5 parking spaces, or the 6 extra, the parking spaces?
It's just for convenience. I mean, obviously, people being people, there's an exercise room there. I'm sure there are people that are going to want to drive over there to exercise and then head out to work.
But it's also residents.
Right.
It's not.
It's not public.
Is not allowed to. No, I know, right.
Yeah.
So it's the convenience of, there's a lot of apartments there, and it's quite a distance in the winter, how cold it's been here. They would probably not use it if they had to walk. So it's, and it is only 6 spaces. Right, okay.
Right, it's 5 plus 1 handicap.
Right. The flagging out there, I haven't seen any flags. That, they were done in 2023.
Right.
And field located in,
The pin flags in the brook, I'm sure, are gone.
right, okay, well, they should be out there.
We can have them put back. It's pretty obvious from the topography where everything is located.
I know, but, and I understand that, but, you know, we get your explanation of, you know, what's going on, where the flags are, and they're not there. I mean, it's just, I don't know how we can let you get away with that. I mean, I agree.
Okay.
That's pretty obvious. Should there be a time set when, that you know, you know what I mean, if it's a case where a lot of water comes through, we could wash them away. So it would make sense to have some coordination about when they're flagged. Well, the flagging would be,
Yeah, I'm not too worried about that. The main flagging is the edge of the brook/river, and that is the definition of mean annual is below flood levels.
right,
And if you're familiar with it, the brook is crushed stone, and in some places, there's stone on the bottom, big stones set,
yeah,
and then it's crushed stone, but at the beginning, there's, I think it's old curbstones placed on the side. So the only thing we can put in is pin flags,
okay,
and they get ripped out by the flowing water. So if you have anything beyond an annual flood, they disappear.
right. I mean, I don't know if we're expecting that kind of rainfall.
Yeah, I mean, we can put them back, but that is in reality what happened to them.
Right, okay. The catch basin that is in the parking lot that currently drains out to the brook. You familiar with the,
Are you talking further up in the parking lot?
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know if that has a sump of any kind? Or can you look into that?
I can look into it. I'm willing to bet, if anything, it's a 2-foot sump.
Well, right now, whatever's in there is right up to the outlet opening, so, the bottom of the outlet. So nothing is being contained in that catch
Yeah.
basin? If there is it maybe needs cleaning and
Yeah, we can
maybe-
get that cleaned out.
Yeah, or maybe consider putting, you know, if it doesn't have a sump at all, I mean. Typically in those times when that complex was built, 2-foot deep
Right.
sumps. Right. That was your approved sump until, you know, recently when it went to 4 feet. Right, yeah. Even bigger units and woods and things like that, but at that time, most likely it's silted in. Okay. As Bill said, we get it cleaned. Okay. That's all I have for right now. I do have a few more questions, but I'll let other people speak.
All right, before I ask anybody else, I just want to make note that this type of project does come under our policy of peer review. Seeing how we don't have an engineer on the commission, it's pretty typical to have something like this peer reviewed, so that's one thing that we probably will need to deal with. If the flags get put back, at least the flags can be confirmed, and the impervious, the 1,100, less 1,100 square feet of the impervious, and whatever other calculations that need to be checked can be indeed checked. So for the commission, this is a type of project that typically would be peer reviewed. So with that stated, any other commissioners have any questions?
Just a quick one, for the, under the riverfront policy, is there any disturbance or any concern for habitat? Any wildlife habitat?
There's no, we're not disturbing anything that's in the 10-year flood, and there's no rare or endangered species.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners?
So, Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of questions. Thank you for the presentation. Can you talk a little bit, give a little bit of detail on what the site demolition is going to consist of? The type of equipment that's going to be brought in, the duration of time for it? How do you, you're obviously going to put in erosion controls. Can you talk a little bit about how you're going to demolish the buildings that are there, and how you're going to take that
Well, there is
material
no
away?
building demolition involved.
So you say on the plan we have site demolition, so what exactly
Right.
do we do?
Well, we have to remove the existing pavement. And, for example, at the tennis court, there's a fence around the tennis court.
Right.
So the fence is coming out. That won't be there. There are currently abrevieties around the court. They're staying, with the exception of the area where the new driveway will be. So there'll be about 28 feet of it that will be removed. 10 feet of it's gone anyway, but the rest of them will remain.
The tennis courts, the tennis court itself, surface will be
Right, the
That
the
surface
pavement.
was removed, right?
Yeah, what we have to do at the tennis court in order to put in the infiltration and stormwater treatment, we're raising the grade slightly. It's about 6 to 9 inches. So it grades to a catch basin that flows through the pipes to the infiltration system that we had to keep 2 feet above groundwater. So, but the pavement comes out. There's a tree that has to come out, and that's it for that one. At the office building, the existing paved plaza will come out, the concrete walks, and that kind of thing. It's not heavy
Yeah.
demolition.
It's all going to be taken away as it comes out?
Yes.
So
yes.
is there going to be a dumpster on the property and
Oh,
as you do
this'll be-
that, or is that how it's going to work?
It'll be trucked out.
Be trucked out?
Yeah, the pavement will be trucked. The only thing is the pavers at the office addition will be reused.
Okay,
So they'll be stacked
got it.
and then reused.
Anything about landscaping? Are you going to be doing any landscape
There is a
work?
landscape plan that was part of the package.
So I'll have to review that. I will just say that there's a landscaping plan, so there's a couple of things. There's a landscaping plan landscape that's gonna go in. You've got a perennial stream that feeds Horn Pond, which ultimately feeds Horn Pond, which of course is a water source
Yep.
for us. And so my concern on any kind of landscaping and demolition of any sort is the types of pest management that goes into place for any type of demolition, any type of construction, especially using materials that impact water sources. And this could be something that's not affected by or not brought into play by the infiltration system. This could be runoff that comes down a landscaped area, down a driveway, over into the stream, so I get concerned about that. And what I like to see on these projects is an integrated pest management plan that talks directly to what types of pesticides are being used, what actually you're gonna plant, what are your target species, and especially around rodent control. And I don't know if you're gonna bring any of that in, but if you are, I'd like to see that plan put in place. And I would like to also impress upon you the fact that the anticoagulant rodenticide materials that are typically used for rodent control do affect water sources, and they do suspend in water, and they will stay in water for up to a year. So I would ask that the plan does not include those, that you use some other type of rodent control or material. Yes, sir.
I can say, there's no building demolition here.
Right.
It's basically all earth materials that are there, fencing, such. We wouldn't expect to have to use pesticides at all. If you look at, in the plans are full specifications.
Okay.
The biggest one that will be used is dust control,
Okay.
and that is gonna be totally water. Just water is the only one allowed.
Right, no calcium.
No
And
calcium.
there is a maintenance plan during construction that's in part of this project that's being described.
Okay.
Exactly what will be done and how, and it will meet all the guidelines of current water quality control. Because we're concerned about, obviously, the plant as well.
Yeah, there is a long-term pest plan that's part of the, Section 9 in the stormwater report.
Right? So it'll be important to have that integrated pest management plan as part of that. So I'd ask you to take a look at that,
Okay.
all right? And, yeah, if you have any questions, we can kind of point you in the right way.
It is a residential complex, and, you know,
I know.
it's not, we get it. It's not something that we would normally think about doing heavy pest control here.
Why I'm bringing it up. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I may, again, thanks for the presentation. It seems pretty straightforward with me, and I don't have a problem with the project. And normally, I would look to waive a peer review, but in this instance, where we're close to the stream, the brook, and there's a change in grade, I mean, to me, it looks like it's an improvement, but as the chairman says, we're not engineers, so I think a peer review wouldn't hurt in this instance, but I just wanted to put on the record, I have no issues with the project overall.
Anybody else? Teresa?
Yes, so in the notice of intent, you talked about this being reviewed under 10.585 as a redevelopment project in terms of the riverfront. And I know you also note in the notice of intent that at a minimum, the work shall result in an improvement. So that's an improvement to the capacity to protect the interests of the act. And I missed the landscape plan until 2 seconds ago, so I didn't see that. So that might affect what I was going to say. But I know that there's like an armored bank, if you will.
Right.
And then also crushed stone along the bank. I don't believe that any of that was ever approved by the Conservation Commission. So I'm wondering if you have looked into, or if you could look into removing some of that and restoring it to a more natural condition, and doing some maybe herbaceous plantings, and just, like right now, it's pretty manicured right up to the
It's,
the
for example, on
armament.
the apartment side, it's grass up to the top of slope.
Yes.
It's a crushed stone slope, and then there's the, I'll call it placed stone channel.
Yes. So I'm asking if you can look into making some improvement to not have an armored bank, and to restore that a little bit. And if you haven't yet, if you would look at the feasibility of that.
The only thing that I want to be careful of is doing anything below the 100-year flood level, because sometimes, long-term, it would be fine, but the problem is in getting it installed and established before it sees any water rushing by it. So I'd be a little aware of that. But above the 100-year flood, there's probably 3 vertical feet, which is like 6 horizontal feet of slope that's crushed stone now. I think you can, I'd look to you guys, but plantings at the top of the slope might be more helpful.
So I'm sure the commission will look at this when they do their site visit. I would also say, since you brought up floodplain, I know you quoted the current floodplain information.
No
There-
change.
So you're ahead of me, and the commission is probably not with me. What I'm referring to is there are preliminary floodplain maps.
Yep.
The effective date will be July, I think it's July 8th of this year.
And I looked at them,
You
and
did?
there's no change here.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, I didn't
Oh,
think
yeah.
there was, but I just wanted to make sure that you've reviewed that as well. And I did also have another question. I drove by there and I didn't stop, so when I was driving by on Bedford Road near Little Brook, there's, going from the roadway right into the brook, it's kind of this interesting little,
As it is on the other side of the property, which is one reason why we tried to pull water away from Bedford Road, where the water in Bedford Road runs down the gutter and just goes down that spillway.
so it just goes straight in, there's no treatment, there's nothing, it's
There's no catch basin, nope,
nothing, okay.
on either side, Teresa.
Yeah, I was only looking at the side that work was
Yeah, if you go
proposed.
on the power line side,
Yep.
it's not as intricate, but it just,
Yeah, is there any improvement that could be made there?
well, you know, this is a small project,
Mm-hmm.
and we're already doing a fair amount of stormwater improvement within our site.
Just wondering if there's some way, because otherwise you're just getting all of, the sand and the oils and everything just going straight right into the brook.
Right, but that's water from Bedford Road.
I understand, but it's coming into Little Brook on, I believe, on this property.
Yes, it does.
So I'm just wondering if you can look at that, if there's anything that you can do to improve that situation.
When we do the site walk, we'll look at that.
Thank you.
But yes, it just goes right in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I have a few more questions. So, kind of along those lines of speaking to Bedford Road, the peak rates of runoff have increased, right?
Not in Bedford Road.
Not at Bedford Road, but in that outlet, right?
Correct,
For the
but,
10 and 25 and 100-year storm?
right, but if you look at it, the runoff from the tennis court now breaks to Bedford Road.
Yep.
And it breaks to the brook.
Mm-hmm.
We're making it all break to the brook, which is on our property.
Right?
The runoff in Bedford Road goes here and joins Little Brook
Mm-hmm.
at the end of our property.
Right,
So right here, there's no increase.
right.
The increase that would occur is totally within our property. We are at the bottom of this watershed, and so that increase will occur and be gone before the 100-year flood from the upper watershed even gets here.
Right.
So there won't be any increase in the flood level in the brook or any of that. It's simply taking this water. We would have gone the other way, but there's no drainage system to connect to.
Right.
And we can't treat it and infiltrate it and discharge to nothing.
So this water now that we're bringing it back onto the property, that water is being treated?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a deep sump catch basin, we have a stormwater treatment
No,
unit,
I didn't know if, yeah,
and we have an infiltration system.
right, okay. I did know that. I just didn't know if that particular portion of the watershed was making it over to, the deep sump catch
Right.
basin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's the reason, Jerry, by the way, one of the reasons we have to raise the grade a little bit, because right now the tennis court is crowned. So we're flipping that outer edge up a little bit to get it to go to where the catch basin and the treatment system and the infiltration is.
Right, yeah, okay. So would there be a decrease on the, is it a net?
There's a net decrease. If you look at all the tables in the stormwater
Yeah.
report, the last table is when you take this and add it to this.
Right,
and it shows decreases in peak rate and volume.
Right, okay.
And the volume is decreased because we're putting it into the ground, whereas
Right.
now it simply runs off.
Okay.
And that's, within the Horn Pond watershed, that's what you want.
Absolutely. As far as the test pits or the test borings went, why weren't they done, as we have in our regs and the handbook likes to see those borings done over the actual area that there's going to be infiltration? And I know that they're in the middle of the tennis court, but that's not a real good reason not to have had those test borings over the infiltration system.
Right. If the results were at all inconsistent, we would have moved it. They were done in advance of the design because we needed to know what the groundwater was in order to know if we could even do infiltration.
Yep.
And they were all consistent. It's all the same kind of sand.
Well, one of them was a little bit more sandy than loamy, right? So the runoff, but you used the lower.
We use the lower number.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
You can make a condition that we do a confirmatory exploration as one of the first stages of construction.
Right.
You know, also, when you get out there, this is not that big.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
correct.
I mean, it's, you know, you did one here and you did one there. How come you didn't do one in the middle? It's,
Well, that's not even what I'm saying is.
no, I understand where you're
Okay.
coming from,
Right,
but it was, we did try to keep to the edges of the tennis court. And we did auger advanced borings rather than test pits, so we minimized the disturbance.
right. And something that I got out of that was that I think that it's difficult to get any kind of redox features when you're doing it that way, right? There was no redox features noted.
Right, the way that they do it, though, it's not an auger boring, it's an auger advanced boring. So what they do is they take the pavement off, they drive a split spoon sampler down 2.5 feet. They pull it up, they open it up, they look at the soil, then they auger 2.5 feet to open the hole up. Then they repeat.
Right.
They go down the next 2.5 feet with the sampler. And it's all done with a soil evaluator there.
Okay. Okay. The other thing I had about as far as the seasonal high, where we assume it is, it was done in August, which was kind of leading up to a critical drought. So I'm not sure if that actually, you know, the water that they got is the seasonal high water. I mean, it could actually be a little higher than that.
Well, I can get something from Sanborn Head. I questioned them on that, and they felt very confident that that was the appropriate number to use, elevation 87.
Okay. Yep.
87 is slightly higher than the bottom of the stream. It's about 8 inches higher, I believe.
Okay. Okay, yeah, if you could get that confirmation, that would be great, very helpful. Snow storage, I didn't see anything on the plan regarding that in the parking lot there.
We would recommend, given that it's kind of overflow, if you will, from the complex, they can just take a parking space and pile the snow up in that for the winter.
Right, so you're not going to have any parking issues with, like, say, city council, you're not required to have spaces there or anything?
It's accessory to the apartments.
Okay. Okay. I had a couple of questions on some of the abbreviations, CO and ND. What is that?
Clean out,
Out and ND?
new drain.
New drain, okay, thanks. And then the landscaping plan. I'm looking at the landscaping plan, and it looks like everything that's shown on this plan is, in the plant legends, is all existing. I don't know I can't tell how many new plants there are going to be out there. So,
I believe there is, did I bring his plan? The architect did the landscape plan, so I'm not an expert in the landscape plan. There are new plants going in, for sure.
Okay, could we get those sort of pointed out to us as to where they are?
Well, you know what, Dick, you got a roll set, Scott.
There's no,
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's the last page.
One. He's got 7 northern pitch, no, those are existing.
well, we can have the plan annotated.
Yeah, I know he has stuff going in.
It's over here.
Yeah.
A legend. Existing. Yeah, it says existing.
Yeah, I saw the hollies along the, I looked at it quick and saw the hollies along the walkway, and there's only,
5 right there.
right now, there's only 3, I think. So I said, okay, he's adding those.
Okay, yeah. I mean, even those look like they're, according to the legend, that they're existing, but,
Yeah, those aren't all there, I can
Right.
tell you
We can get
that.
that fixed.
Yep.
and then there was, I think on sheet 9, it was, there's some circles kind of drawn around some trees. Is that the tree protection?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
thank you. Oh, one more thing. The leaching basin's out on, out where the addition to the office building is. Shows them having a catch basin and 2 manholes over the top of them. What is
Right, the
that?
catch basin's an overflow.
Catch basin's an overflow?
Yep.
And then the manholes are,
The manholes are just access, so you can open them and make sure that they're clean.
there's not a manhole in there. Is there? In the
No,
leaching?
no, it's bricked up and there's a manhole cover.
Right,
But
right,
it's a concrete galley
right.
with a
Okay.
circle in the top cut
Yep.
out.
Okay,
And then the manhole cover is over that circle.
right, okay,
So if you open the cover, you can see what's down in there.
okay. Thank you.
Effectively a big inspection port.
Well, I've never seen inspection ports that big, so yeah, for a small system like that. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Anybody else from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, just a quick question on the spots where you're going to be doing some work in the 25-foot no disturb zone. Just a couple of spots that you got there. I guess the biggest one would be the little corner of the tennis court.
Right.
What type of extra protection for, is it machine work, handwork?
It's just pulling back. There's a triangle of the existing tennis court pavement that is in there, and the fence is in there.
Okay, but it'll be with the machine or hand by hand, or?
Yeah, the machine won't actually be in there.
It'll be on the tennis court?
be on
I
the
would
tennis
assume, right?
court.
And pulling it in?
Right, I mean, literally, we're talking,
Yeah, it's a small, I know it's a small piece, and then it's
Right.
even, and then where the pavers are, the pavers are getting plucked out of, unless it's not the pavers you had mentioned earlier, down, let's see, it's over right here.
where we have the
Concrete
walkway
walkway.
going in, connecting to the lower patio, the walkway goes up to the 25-foot.
Right.
Around that walkway, to take care of stormwater from the walkway, we have a crushed stone wick, which is 2 feet wide by 2 feet deep. That is in the 25-foot zone.
Okay, I think I see that on this.
You look at the 25, just cuts right along the edge of that walkway curve.
Okay,
So the 2-foot stone wick, which is outside of the walkway, will be in the 25-foot.
okay, but any of those concrete pavers within the 25-foot being removed?
Go to-
Down, let's see, I guess it's to the western side of the pool.
Over in
Yes,
this area?
Yes.
Behind the maintenance building? No,
So those aren't the pavers that are being, you said you're gonna take pavers out and reuse
The
them?
pavers being reused are way over at the
Yep.
office building.
They're at the office.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Right.
Sorry about that.
And when you go out there, you'll see it. The picture is worth 1,000 words.
All right, I'm good, thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just a couple more. I know in the plans that there's a spill plan in the event of a hazardous waste discharge or something. Will the commission be notified in the event that there is a spill? I didn't see that it was written into the plan, and I was just wondering about that.
That is something you can put in the order. There's a DEP protocol for if there's a spill, and that'll be followed.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. And the second thing,
By the way, not anticipated, but
oh, no. I perfectly understand.
things happen.
We never anticipate any of those
Right.
things. We don't want them to happen, but sometimes things do happen.
Right, which
out
is
of our
why we
control.
want them to have a spill kit on site.
That's right,
So if it does happen,
that's right.
they have a way to address it.
So, and just to follow on that, will there be extra or additional erosion control materials that'll be on site? So in the event that something happens to one of them, you can
The
replace them right away?
last two pages, which I'm sure you didn't read, it's in there.
Okay. Just the last thing, I haven't walked the site, so I'll see it when we go out there,
Yep.
but is there any protection in place that keeps trash and debris or anything out of Little Brook?
Such as,
Well, just trash that gets blown on trash day and finds its way down into the stream or into the brook, any kind of plastics or anything like that, recycled material. You know, is there any type of barrier or something that is along Little Brook right now that keeps that material out of there, or is there anything
We have a
planned?
representative, the owner here, just explained that they have maintenance people,
Yeah.
Okay,
make sure to pick all that up.
they do, okay.
I'll tell you, I go by there all the time, has
Yeah.
a market basket. There has never been any trash out on that whole site.
They don't put barrels in.
Nicest ones.
So that's a good thing, and I'm glad to hear
right, they
that.
pick it up, there's no physical barrier, if you
Oh, okay.
will.
I just want to make sure that, I just want to know for my own,
Yeah.
my own reasons, that there's at least something going on that keeps material out of that brook,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's, you've got a maintenance crew that goes out there and picks it all up, which
Right.
is good, and that's important, so.
Yeah.
And once again, like I said, when I go out there on the site visit, I'll be able to
Mm-hmm.
see what's out there, so, thank you.
Anybody else?
Bill, I just had one more thing. The TSS removal at the parking, area.
Yep,
So I get the 25% for the sump, I get the 80%, with the pre-treatment for the cascade unit. How do you get the 73% for the infiltration? Where does that number come from?
the 73% comes from a DEP study.
Okay?
The handbook says 80. Yeah, it is 80, but when you take the prior removals, it gets knocked down because there's not as much in it
Right.
to come out.
Mm-hmm, okay. Okay, yeah, I just had never seen that before, so.
Right.
Is it in the regulations somewhere, or is it just a,
That's something, we do an awful lot of work reviewing things, as you probably know, and we do an awful lot of discussing with DEP, and they have said, yeah, do it that way.
okay, thank you.
It results actually in, if you will, a lower, more conservative number.
Yeah.
If you just use the straight 80%, you would get a different number, which
Right.
would indicate more removal.
Right. Well, would you be at 85% without that? So you don't have to go any better, do any better than that. Obviously, you're infiltrating, so you're getting more TSS removal, but.
Right.
You've got
Well,
the.
we could simply, if we weren't trying to meet an infiltration standard, we could use the deep sump catch basin and the cascade unit, and we'd
Right.
be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yep, okay.
But we understand the sensitivity of the site, and not only are we improving water quality, we're improving what goes into the ground, which in this watershed with the wells downstream, that's what we want to do.
Very good, thank you.
All right, any other questions from the commission? This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on the matter? And if so, you can step forward, sign in, and identify yourself to the recorder. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission. Any last comments or questions? Hearing none, we do need to set up a site walk, and Teresa, we will set in progress the peer review.
We'll send out an RFP, yep.
Okay, so, site walk. Availability from commissioners.
Would we want to schedule it after we select the peer? And I say that because he said about the flagging, they would want to see it.
But we'll get the flagging put in right away.
Right, but if you are concerned that it might disappear with the storm, I don't know how much time. That's all I was thinking. I wouldn't want you to have to do it twice.
Right. That's a good point.
If I may,
Yep.
the wetlands here are, when you walk it, you will know. We'll put the flags in. You're not going to need the flags.
And I'm
Pretty
just,
obvious where it is.
Especially new boots.
I have my new boots, so don't worry.
Can you, yeah, I was wondering if you could put less flag. I mean, it seems like there was a lot of flags out there. Can you,
Yep. We certainly can, and the reason that I say two things. One, when you look at the topography, you'll look at it and you go, oh yeah, I see it. The second thing, quite frankly, is we're in riverfront, we're in buffer zone, we're not in the actual resource. So whether you said it was here or it's a foot over, really isn't material at the end of the day. Because we're not near the resource, near enough that a flag going a little bit one way or the other would matter. And they're not going to move because they're at the top of that stone channel. So,
I don't think I've ever reviewed a project that if it says there's I mean, there should be I mean, it should be it should be
right,
identified.
and the problem is that they have disappeared over time.
Right. Well, it's been a year,
Yeah.
over a year, that they were last verified.
Can I ask a question? I'll ask it to everybody. What if you, since it's on stone, what if you hit it with a small water-based paint, spray paint, a dot where it is? And that way it would be there, until it washed away, but something that's environmentally. I know
Yeah, now
you don't
do-
want spray paint necessarily near it, but just enough instead of
Yeah.
flag to have something you could go out and see with it. I mean, like a basket sticker.
Let me talk to Patrick and see what he can
I'm
do.
just saying, that way there's no rush, and if you, All right.
Jerry, let me also ask, there are wetlands across Bedford Road. Do you want those flagged as well? They're obviously across Bedford Road, so. And we are obviously in the buffer zone.
I don't think we need, I don't think it's not.
I think
part of
you're
the pro-
interested in Little Brook.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
we don't have to cross it.
So as far as, so what are we going to do with, for a site? We're going to wait till we get peer review on board? or-
That's up to the commission. It's probably not a bad idea, but
Do you have any objection to that, Bill?
Well, we'd rather keep this moving if we can. You may see something out there that you want to discuss with the peer reviewer. I don't know. I mean, I think you have a good sense of the project. I think a couple of the commissioners previously had been on site. I think we should try and schedule it for the end of next week, if you can, and we'll get the flags put back.
Okay. So like Thursday or Friday or Saturday? or-
Yeah, I would think by Thursday, and if not, the beginning of the week after. I have to call and get the wetland scientist to put them back, and I don't know his schedule.
Friday,
I can't
now
do
that we
Friday.
have daylight savings, we got a little
Yeah,
bit
let's
of
do it
time
during
at
the
night. Or Saturday morning of next week.
What about the following Monday night?
24th,
Is that,
that works for me.
okay.
I'm okay with
Sure,
that.
that's good for me.
That's good.
I may have a problem, but I don't want to hold things up, so let's go with the 24th, and if I can be there, I will.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'll take a walk out myself. I've been out on that property a couple of times. About a year ago, we had fire pull a car out of the brook.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
I've been up there a few times.
5:30-ish?
5:30?
Sure. Really
I
works for
can
me.
walk, so.
And when you go out there, it's pretty obvious from the plans, because there's so much existing out there, you can tell where the proposed improvements are.
Right.
It's,
Okay, so,
Can we
sidewalk
park
for,
Where the dumpster area is, you know, that's fenced off, there's a little
Um,
area,
yeah, at the front of the garage, yeah,
instead of parking on the street?
yep.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, there's two ways to go. You can park up near the office, you can
Oh,
look
okay,
at
that's
that,
fine too.
and then
Okay.
walk through and go over the
if you
footbridge.
pull in after the brook, there's a parking area that's almost right next to the brook.
That's what I was just
Yeah,
saying.
that,
Would that be okay?
and that gets you off the street.
Yeah, they just said at that time of night, probably the guest parking area.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, that's fine.
All right, so we will see you at
5:30?
Friday, the 20,
Monday.
no, Monday, the 24th
24.
at 5:30. And is it your request that we continue the public hearing?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we continue the
what
public
date?
hearing
Second,
to...
All in favor?
Hold on.
Date.
Oh,
To what date?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Far out do you want to go? Because there
the
is going to be a
next
peer review.
meeting is the 27th.
Right, but you're going
If
to
you're
have
doing a
peer review, so it's
Peer
going to take,
review, the first one in April is,
so I'll just read you the list of them. There's April 10th, April 24th, May 8th, May 22nd.
Let's take the 10th. This shouldn't take them long to review.
Right, we just have to get them on board.
Right,
That's,
I think that's too soon.
So
You
just
know that
get
takes a little
Horsley
bit of
Witten
time.
and go.
okay, all right, so April 10th.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we continue the public hearing to our next meeting, to
No,
our
no.
meeting on April 10th, 2025 at 6:30 PM.
second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Terrific.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. We'll see you then. And we'll see you on the 24th, hopefully. All right, moving on. Business items, minutes of February 27th, 2025. Everybody has a draft. Um, I did not make any notations. Any discussion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the meetings for February 27, 2025 as drafted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
abstention?
I abstain.
Abstain.
2 abstentions. All right, next on the agenda is we need to ratify an emergency certification for 149 Mishawam Road. For those of you that are not familiar, this is the same resident that we did a site walk for a deck. And little later on in the season, they went to remove an outdoor oil tank for their burner, and they had a 200-gallon spill. Immediately, it was looked at by the state, the fire department. Jerry and I went out originally, looked at it. They put in containment material to hopefully contain it for the time being until they were ready to do the work. This coming Tuesday, the 18th, I believe, they plan on starting the work. Jim and I were out last week, last week, and we noticed that everything was still in place. There's a brook downstream from that area, and that stream looks nice and clean. We didn't see any sheen or any residue of oil, so it looks like it's been contained, at least to this point. There was an odor of oil, so we know the oil is obviously still there. And hopefully this gets taken care of. So that's what we're signing, the emergency certification to let them do
so
the work.
the commission needs to ratify the emergency certification, so if someone will make that motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Terrific. And we've got all the signatures? Okay. Next on the agenda, tree program, Commissioner Malone.
So, we plan on having a tree program again. It will be Saturday, April 26th. It seems like the last Saturday in April seems to work out for the queues and the commission and the like, so we're planning on that day. I am not planning on having COVID this year, so I'm praying for that. And thanks to our Commissioner Kevin Meany, I think we've worked out with Teresa a financial arrangement which can increase the total number of trees, so that's a plus for us and for the program alike.
Good
So
deal.
instead of being 20 trees and change, we're in the neighborhood of 40 trees and change,
Wow,
which is
great.
a significant improvement, and so I'm looking forward to it. I'll put the schedule together as I always do, and I'll have it all ready for the next meeting.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Very good.
Excellent.
Excellent. Site visits, we just did the Bedford Road. Is there anything else pending, Teresa? I can't think of anything.
Not that I can think of.
Okay. So, anything else that needs to be brought before the commission?
Hearing none, Mr. Chairman, oops.
Oh, I'm
Oops,
sorry.
oops.
I just want to remind commission members, I think most of you know there is a planning meeting.
Oh,
I forget the date. But I think you're all,
April 3rd.
April? Isn't it April?
It's April.
think
April 3rd, sorry.
Okay.
It's Conservation Day.
We'll send out a reminder email. I think it's April 3rd. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Then once again, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Aye, Gary.
Thank you.